Most people think the bomb kills you. It doesn't. Not most of you. The bomb kills the people in the first 2 miles. Everybody else, everybody watching this, dies in the 72 hours after, and almost all of them die from a decision they made in the first 15 minutes. 15 minutes. That's your window. That's the whole thing. I'm going to walk you through those 72 hours the way I'd brief a squad, hour by hour. What's happening outside, what's happening to your body, and the one thing you do next. No hype, no bunker sales pitch, just the timeline. Because the people who survive this aren't the ones with the biggest stockpile. They're the ones who knew what hour it was. Let's start at 0. Light travels faster than sound and faster than pressure. So the first thing that reaches you is a flash, brighter than anything you have ever seen, brighter than the sun at noon, and it comes from the wrong direction. Here is your first rule, and it costs nothing. Do not look at it. Every reflex in your body will tell you to turn and look. That reflex has blinded people who were miles outside the damage zone. The flash can burn the retina permanently at distances where nothing else touches you. You survive the whole event and spend the rest of your life unable to see it. Turn away, drop, face down, hands under your body, mouth open. Mouth open, that one sounds strange. It equalizes the pressure that's coming so your eardrums have a chance. And then you count. If you are far enough out to still be thinking, you have somewhere between 5 and 30 seconds before the pressure wave arrives. That's it. That's your entire preparation window for the physical event. Get behind mass, a curb, a car engine block, the far side of a concrete wall, anything between you and that light. The blast wave hits. And this is where the second big misunderstanding lives. People picture being thrown across a parking lot. That is not what happens to most casualties. What actually happens is glass. Every window facing that flash becomes shrapnel moving at highway speed. In Hiroshima and Nagasaki, in the survivable ring, the ring where you'd be, flying debris and glass caused a huge share of the injuries. Not the fireball, windows. So if you are indoors when you see the flash, you do not run to the window. You get away from every window in the building. Interior room, interior hallway, away from the glass, away from the exterior walls. If you're outside, down, flat, behind something solid, and stay down through the wave and the second wave that follows it as air rushes back in. Then the noise stops, and people make their worst mistake of the entire 72 hours. They stand up, they walk outside, they look at the cloud. Right now, above you, there's a column of dirt, concrete, and vaporized city being pulled up into the atmosphere. Millions of particles, all of them radioactive. They have to come down, and that takes time. If you are outside the immediate blast zone, that fallout typically needs at least 15 minutes to begin reaching the ground, sometimes considerably longer, depending on distance and wind. That gap is the single most valuable thing you will ever be given. 15 minutes to get from wherever you are to the best shelter you can reach. Not the perfect shelter, the best one you can physically reach and be inside of before the 15 minutes are up. If the good shelter is 20 minutes away, it is not your shelter. It's a death sentence with a nice basement. What best means in order. Underground beats above ground. A basement is worth more than any amount of gear. Center beats edge. Get to the middle of the structure, away from exterior walls and the roof. Mass beats everything. Concrete, brick, earth, water, books, canned goods. Radiation doesn't care what the mass is. It only cares how much is between you and the particles. Big building, middle floors, interior core, or basement. That's the answer. The official guidance for this is 3 words, and it hasn't changed in decades. Get inside, stay tuned. The problem isn't that people don't know it. The problem is they do the first word and quit. You made it inside. Now do this immediately before anything else. Take off your outer layer of clothing. Outer clothing carries the overwhelming majority of the particles you picked up. The figure commonly cited is up to 90%. You remove your jacket, your outer shirt, your shoes, and you have removed almost all of the contamination you brought in with you. Put it in a bag. Seal it. Put it in the furthest room from where you're sitting. Not the trash, not the hallway. Far. Then wash. Warm water, soap, hair included. One detail almost nobody knows. Do not use conditioner. Conditioner is designed to bind to hair. It will bind radioactive particles to your scalp and hold them there. Shampoo only. If there's no water, wipe down with a damp cloth or wet wipes. Face, hands, neck, any exposed skin. Blow your nose. Wipe your eyelids and ears. Then you sit down. And this is the part almost nobody is prepared for, because nothing happens next. Here's the number that decides whether you live. Radiation decays fast, violently fast. There's a field rule of thumb called the 7-10 rule. For every 7-fold increase in time, the radiation dose rate drops by a factor of 10. Run it. 1 hour after the detonation, call the outside dose rate 100%. 7 hours later, 10%. 49 hours, so roughly 2 days, 1%. 2 weeks, about 1/10 of 1%. Hear that again, because it's the whole strategy. The thing outside your door that could kill you in hours at hour 1 is, 2 days later, roughly 100 times weaker. You do not need to outlast the radiation. You need to outlast the first 2 days of it. That's it. That's the mission. Which means the most dangerous item in your house right now is not the lack of a gas mask. It's your own patience. 24 hours in, the power's out, the phones are dead, the kids are frightened, and someone is going to say the sentence that gets families killed. It's probably fine now. I'm just going to check. It is not fine. At 24 hours, you are still in the worst of it. Day 2 is when discipline breaks. You're bored, you're uncomfortable, you have no information, you have no idea if this is 1 city or 20. That silence is worse than any siren, and it is the thing that pushes people out the door. So, give yourself jobs. Ration water first, food second. A person can go a long time without food and a very short time without water. Fill every container you have the moment you get inside. If there's still pressure in the pipes, that window closes fast. Seal what you can. Tape around door frames and vents in the room you're using, not because tape stops radiation, it doesn't, because it stops dust. And dust is what's carrying the radiation. Keep a battery or hand crank radio running. This is what stay tuned means. The one thing you cannot know from inside your house is which direction the plume went, and that's the only piece of information that changes your plan. And about potassium iodide, since somebody always asks, it protects one organ, the thyroid, against one isotope, radioactive iodine. That's it. It is not a shield. It does not let you go outside. Treat it as one small tool, not a permission slip. By 48 hours, that curve has done most of its work. This is generally the earliest window where short, deliberate trips outside start becoming survivable, and the official line is still to stay put for at least 24 to 48 hours, unless emergency services tell you otherwise. If you are told to evacuate, evacuate. If you hear nothing, assume you stay. If you do go out, you go out like a soldier, not like a neighbor. You go with a purpose and a time limit. Water. A specific person, nothing else. You cover skin, hood, gloves, long sleeves, mask over the mouth and nose. You are not blocking gamma radiation, you are blocking dust. You take the shortest route. You do not sightsee. You do not stand around talking. You strip and bag the outer layer the second you're back inside. Every single time. And the last one is the one nobody wants to hear. The 72-hour mark is not the end. It's the point where the environment stops being the main threat and other people become the main threat. Everyone who didn't prepare is now 3 days into no water, no power, and no information. That's the shift you're planning for. So here's your 72 hours, compressed. Don't look at the flash. Get down, get away from glass. 15 minutes to shelter. Underground, center, mass. Strip the outer layer. Wash. No conditioner, then hold. 2 days. That's the whole fight. And when you move like it's a mission, not an errand. That's it. That's what actually decides it. Not the gear, not the stockpile, the clock. Now, hour 15 through 24 is where I have watched the most plans fall apart, and I did not have room for it here. That is its own video, and it is next on this channel. Subscribe so you get it. And if you have a basement you have never actually looked at with this in mind, go look at it tonight. That is your homework. Old Ranger, out.